Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I am on for my second video using the awesome products that I got from Pandahall. So the links to Pandahall and the individual products that I'm using will be down below. There's also a coupon code, and if you use that on checkout you can get 10% off of your first order with Pandahall. So in my last video, you would have seen me use the stencils and the mark making sort of kids paint set to do some jelly printing with. So that leaves me with this set of dies. So it's going to be a bit of a mixed bag today because I've got this set of dies that I need to use. And I also have all these storage options that I grabbed. So we've got these storage pockets. There's a few different sizes in here, and these have your little snaps on them. And we've also got these ones, which are like envelopes, a number of different sizes of those as well. So between all of that, I should be able to get some organisation done in here, which is desperately needed. So these are like your die and stamp storage, but we will see. I might do something different with them today. I also got these little coin holder books. So these are very cute, and I thought we would use them. So we're going to start off by doing something with these first. So I will use this one for my first little thing to do, and that is to actually put some coins in it. Now, coins, you're probably saying, why are you doing this when you sort of do crafting on your channel? Well, we can add our coins to our junk journals in little sort of specimen sample pockets and slides and that sort of thing. And it's something that I'd like to do with these because I've had them hanging around forever. I'll probably look them up and see if they're worth anything, but if not, then they can go into journals, especially if it's a journal that's themed on the specific country that the coin comes from. This one's Singapore, but it also has a seahorse on it, so I'd probably put that in an ocean themed journal. This one has a butterfly on it. That's New Zealand. Got some pennies in that as well. That's not a penny, that's a half penny. I wasn't around in those days, 1964. But it's also a great way for me to store the ones that I'm going to keep for myself as well. Now, I have bigger coins, and they're in these slips, and they're a bit dusty. And my smaller coins were in these as well, but the smaller ones just roll around everywhere in them, and it's not really a good way for me to be able to see what I've got and that sort of thing. So I ended up putting them all into a coin tin, but then they rattle around against each other, and again, I never drag it out to see what I've got. So I think this will be a great way to store them. So I'm just going to tip these out. And I'm going to do a bit of a sort out of what I've got here. And then I will come back and we will put them away. Okay, so I've sorted them, sort of, into piles to see what I've got. And I've got ones that are from different countries, international coins. And then I've got my Australian coins here. So I might put the international ones in the front pockets and then the Australian ones towards the back. What I love about the design of these is if you turn them over to the back, they've got a little flap there. So if you accidentally tip this upside down, your coins aren't going to fall out in a hurry. And that's what's given me some good ideas with using the other one of these as well. Anyway, I have to grab my magnifying glass for those. And then we can just slip them in the back here. And as I said, that little flap, yay, they don't come out in a hurry, which is awesome. And that's going to be so much easier for me to look at, but also so much easier for me to store than a lot of those big sort of sheets as well. So I will continue putting all of these away, and then we'll come back and have a look at how they all fit in there. I finished putting my coins in my little coin album, and I've even got $1 to spend here. Had 2 of them, and I thought since they're still in circulation, I can afford to spend that one. So it fits really good. I was wondering how it would go at expanding once I started filling it up, but it's beautiful and so light and easy. Great size. So in the front, I've got the international ones. Sorry about the glare. So I found a few from Singapore and Malaysia, so I've kept them together. Then I've got a whole lot of different ones here. Even found 10 euro cents. Yeah, some more. I think these are my New Zealand ones. Then we've got my Australian ones from here on. And we've got my 1 cent and 2 cent ones because we don't use those anymore. Got some 5 cents that are a bit different, and 10s. And my shillings and penny. Then we've got the $2 coins and a medallion that I've got. And then my $1 coins. So they fit in there beautifully, and I love that. So if I want to use some of these in journals, it'll be a lot easier for me to see what I've got now, and they're not rolling around everywhere, which is wonderful. So very, very happy with that. Works beautifully. So we still have the other one now. So I do need to fill that up. Now, this is going to seem like a bit of a weird idea, but I have a stack of this sort of stuff, your sequins and confetti and that sort of thing. So they are all in these bags in a drawer behind me, but I often forget that I've got them. And also when I want to use some, I pull out all the bags to try and see what's going to work with the project that I've got. So I thought these little holders would be great. What you could do is put a few in each one of these. And when you're doing a project, you can just have this on your desk, very light, open it up and see which one you think is going to go with your project. Then if you need more than what's in here, I can reach behind me because it's so hard to reach behind me and grab extra. But another great idea is if you're traveling. If you're going somewhere, you don't want to have to take all of it, but you might want just a few little blingy bits to put on your projects. Can slip them in here. You could also slip in here little jewellery connectors and findings like your pins and spaces and that sort of thing. And because they've got the little flaps, they're not going to fall out. So I think these are a great idea as a little on-the-go storage thing for your really tiny little bits that you don't want to have to drag the whole lot with you. So I think I'll spend a bit of time putting some of this sort of thing in here, and we'll see what it works out like. I have finished putting all of my sequin samples into their little pockets. It was a bit of work, a little bit fiddly, but it was definitely worth it. So now I did find it easier to put them in with my fingers. However, taking them out would be another story, so I will likely do that with my tweezers when I want them. But so much easier for me to store near me, grab it when I want just a little extra embellishment. I don't tend to use these things in bulk because I'm not really a sewer, but I do like to use a couple of them on little ephemera pieces for my journals. This is just a great way of having a few of all of them at hand. So now you've got that little flap up the top that holds everything in, so the proof's in the pudding. Nothing's falling out. Isn't that amazing? Nothing worse than spilling your sequins. So to put them in, I'd use one hand to lift that up and hold it, and then another finger just to open it up. And then I'd pick up my sequins and put them in there. Now to get them out, all you need to do is grab your tweezers, slide it down, and you can pull a pile of them out. So very easy and quick actually to be able to access them, which I wasn't sure about, so really happy about that. So I've got my stars, I've got my love hearts, sorry, a bit shiny as usual. I've got some of your party themed ones, and I was able to sort them out into bits and pieces. I think that'd look cute in a little golden book ephemera for journals. I've got flower ones, I've got leaf sequins, I've got your flat ones, and then I've got your normal sort of ones. So I fit almost every type I have in there. The only ones I didn't fit in was a couple of the little party mixes I have, but it's making me want to grab a couple more of these because that was really handy. And as I said, you could fit jump rings and your pins and that in for jewellery making as well, and have them at hand and easy to grab because you don't need to drag the whole lot out with you. So I really love these. They work awesome for your little coins, but it's also worked so well for me to have this. And another thing is, at night I leave my craft room and I go on and craft out in the lounge room. I'll be able to take this with me when I do that now, which is great. Very, very handy. So we'll move on to the next thing we want to organise. Now, I have previously invested in a whole lot of stamp and die storage, and so I might as well keep them the way they are. But I thought that these would be really great for organising some of my paper ephemera that I have around here. I've got the words that I've tipped out, which I think I might be able to organise better into some of those so that I'll use them more, because that's my big problem, is I have things stashed around here everywhere and I don't remember what I've got, and therefore it doesn't get used. So I'm going to try and store these better so that I use them more. We'll see how that goes. But I did have all my alphas and that in this, which is an old book box, and also in this tin up in my calyx unit, but I think I can do better than that. So the first thing I'm going to do is organise these. So I'll go through, sort them into sizes. Some of the bigger ones I might be able to cut down to fit really nicely into some of my packaging here. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to come back and show you how I've managed to organise it all. So it's looking a lot neater now. So I've got the smaller ones in one of these little packets. It's not the smallest packet either. I think we've got smaller than that. So, but they fit beautifully. And then I've got like office stickers. Got mainly black and whites. These are black and white word stickers too. So I have Tim Holtz Small Talk and other bits and pieces. So these are black and white mainly alphas. There's a gold one at the front on his lonesome. These are coloured words and quotes and that. I've got my little quote book in the front as well. So this is just like full of more bulkier stickers and alphas. Here's some more coloured ones. And then this big one was already in its own pack, so I thought I'd leave it like that. Now for the rest of these, I did have to cut some of them in half and that to fit them in, but they all fit in nicely. Can fit a fair whack into these pockets. It's going to keep the dust off, which is something I like to do, especially if I'm going to be making a journal that I'm going to sell. I don't want everything to have dust on it. So what I would do with all of this is, I've got this basket that I have next to me on a set of drawers. I would probably just stand them up in something like that. I've still got a lot more to organise, so I'm not sure if they'll all be going into this basket or another basket that I find. But this is what I intend on doing, because I just think it would be so much easier for me to find things flicking through something like this. And I can also label each pack when I'm completely sure about my organisation. So we'll get on with the next bit that I want to organise with you to use up my packaging. And that is, most of you know that I salvage a lot of books that are heading to the recycle bin. The bits that I harvest seem to end up all over the shop, which I will show you what I mean. Now I have these little files. I did start organising into them quite neatly too, because I've got these little photo album slips. And I was organising the pictures into themes and then putting them into these files, because I've got a few of them, in alphabetical order. And since I've done that, I don't think I've looked in them once. They're just up in my calyx unit and forgotten about. I do like them, I just don't use them. I also keep book pictures in Ziploc bags. So I've got them lying around all over the place. I also have them in these takeaway containers, piles and piles of them that I've cut out. These are all adverts. I have words that I've cut out of the top of books. I have bigger book pictures. These are mainly adverts and that as well. So this is the type of thing that I'd like to use a lot more, and I just don't because I've got it all over the place and I never remember where it is. I've got a set of all these drawers behind me that these live in, and I never seem to remember to turn around and open that. So I'm thinking a system like what I've done with the alphas would suit these better too. Something that's right next to me that I can just flick through. It's in these clear plastic things so I can see what's in there at a glance, and I can label them easily as well. So what I'm going to do is take these out to the lounge room for the evening, sort through them, get it all together, and then use my leftover packaging, which I still have heaps of, to get them organised. So I sat down last night and organised a whole pile of my little bits and pieces, and I put them in a whole pile of the envelopes, as you can see here, and I use my Dymo labeler to label them all. So I have this little box here, a little display box that I got from Marketplace. So I think I should be able to just pick these up so you can see I've got birds and insects, plants, animal, dance, sport. So a lot of these came out of encyclopedias or books on history, and they have a lot of these little adverts and pictures in them. Beautiful size for making tags and that, so it'll be really handy to have them near me just to grab when I want to make a tag. It'll get me using them because I have so many. They fit. I love the fact that you get so many different sizes in these packs. So there's a size for everything really. And it's going to be so much easier to find what I want, having them like this with the labels on them as well. So I think we can do that. Actually, these ones might even go down the side there. And then these little ones, love these little ones. So I've got your vintage ladies, vintage men, and then a whole stack of these fashion pictures that I got out of this one book, but they're a great size for tags. So, and they can fit in there. So this can sit on one of my shelf tops in here. It'll be a lot easier for me to find the bits now, so I'm really, really happy with that. So there is still more. I have this container of more things I've found. Have these little bits that came out of some Australian Geographics that I've got a few projects in mind to use and I keep forgetting about, so I'll probably store them in a similar fashion. I keep my strips of paper when I cut my pages down, and they seem to get, like I always keep everything in Ziplocs, but the tops sort of fall over and you can't see the labels, and then they do get damaged as well, so I think I'll store them better. I do have some bins which I have a lot of these sort of scraps in, but these particular ones are great for backing my tags and my journal cards, so I'd use them a lot. So I might store them in a better manner. I have a stack of bookmarks that fall out of the books that I find. I have all of these that are ready for me to make faux postcards. I have another massive file folder somewhere that is full of this as well, which I can't find at the moment. So I'll put these in an envelope, and then when I find the rest, I'll organise them. Got some more page bits that I've got to store. And then I've got a pile of stamp pictures that come out of stamp catalogues. Now, I love using that sort of thing. I like using my real stamps, but I also love using the stamp catalogue pictures. So it'd be handy to have them nearby as well. So I'm going to put these all in some envelopes and then I will come back, show you them, and then we'll get on and do some crafting. I've finished organising for now and I've got my bookmarks. So I should be able to slip those in with my stickers. I've got my lined paper. I've got my faux postcards. Then we've got some smaller packs now. I've got another big one. Got my stamp catalogue bits and pieces. So they all fit in there quite nicely, which is wonderful. And I am mixing the plastic slips up between the two packs that I got, and they go together, integrate really well size-wise and that. So then I've got blank paper strips. They should fit just there by the looks. They probably will go back there. Yeah, they will. And my lined paper strips. My National Geographic bits and pieces that I want to get using. I can put some on the side the other way if we need to. Might put the little ones down there. And then some more stamp catalogue pictures there. So they all fit really nicely in my basket like that. Just got to label my stickers. So I'm really happy with that. So with both the packs I got, I have thus far done all of this and all of this, which is so cool. And I still have, look at this, I still have all of that left. And mind you, I'm going to need them and maybe more, but yeah, definitely buy myself some more to organise more of my stuff. I really love them. They are the die and stamp storage, but I desperately needed to sort my scrappy ephemera out of books and that especially, so that it's more at hand for me to use in my junk journals. So now I'm onto the die set that I want to have a play with, and I'm just taking them apart here. So if you wiggle them back and forth just gently, they will come apart quite easily. You will have the little bits of metal that were joining them together sticking out. So if you just grab a pair of pliers to hang on to them and wiggle them, you can get them off quite easily as well. Sometimes they're the tiniest little bits sticking out too, but I did find that my curved pliers there were able to grip them better than my straight nose ones. Sometimes when you've got nesting dies in particular, you've got to get off the metal pieces that are joining them in between the dies, which is a bit more fiddly. So I will show you in a second how I do that, which is similar as well. So you can see here they're joined at both ends there, and again if you just grab it in the center and then wriggle it gently while you hold one of the dies there, it will break off after a few wriggles, and I find that the easiest way to do it, and then you don't twist your dies. So now I've got my big shot, and I've got a layer of scrapbook paper and a layer of scrap fabric that I got from the second-hand shop. And I'm just putting 6 of the dies down on top of that. I find that my fabric cuts a bit cleaner if I put paper underneath, and that way I get 2 layers cut at once. So I go through and repeat that process with about, I think it must have been about 6 different lots of fabric and scrapbook paper, just to get a few different patterns and colours. I have a project in mind for the fabrics, but I thought I might as well do some scrapbook paper at the same time. And they're cutting nice and cleanly. So I've got some beautiful paper there. That is a digital from Joey Cardmaker, which is a fellow South Aussie digital creator. And I'm just backing that onto some of my clear book page to make a journaling card. I'm going for a bit of a retro vibe here, hence why I cut out my retro fabrics. Just seeing how they'll fit on there because I want to do a bit of stamping on the side. So I have a mannequin stamp, looks like a bit of a 60s style mannequin, so I stamped that on the side there just with some archival ink. Thought brown would go nicely with the orange and yellow tones in the paper. Then I've got my retro fabrics and I'm just arranging them so they look appealing to me. So I'm doing a sort of fabric swatch card that I can put in a journal. You can journal on the back of it. And these are probably fabrics that I will be using in the journal as well. So I'm tacking them down with a bit of my tacky glue just so they stay in place. And then I'm going around the card with my corner rounder. Just inking the edges with some brown ink. Then I've got this stamp which you put together to form a word, and I've formed the word sample for my fabric samples. So again, I'm just using my brown archival ink to stamp that. Then I've got a few other haberdashery themed stamps there. So a pair of scissors and I think a little pin. It's the tiniest, cutest little pin stamp that I'll be using. Just to add something a bit extra to my journal card. Quick and easy journal card, a great way of displaying some of the fabrics. Then I'll decide that I'll go in with some of my scrap thread from when I'm binding books and just sew a few stitches through each of the samples to hold them on properly. Just catching the thread at the back there to hold onto it. When I want to put the thread up through the back, it's easier for me to punch a hole down in the centre there. But at that stage when I do that, I take my needle all the way through and realise I've wrapped my cotton around, so I have to pull it back out and rethread my needle. But yeah, rather than trying to poke holes up through the back there where you can't see where they're going to come out the front there, I rather when I have to go do the holes through the back, poke them through the front first, then I can see them in the back. So when I've finished, I just tie both my threads together in a double knot so they stay. And so I repeat that process with each one of my fabric samples. So now I'm on to another journaling card. I thought we might as well whip one up with some of the papers that I cut as well underneath the fabric. So I've picked a whole lot of the squares that will go together nicely. I've got the serrated edge pieces that you can put around the outside and then the plain pieces that you can put on the inside to create a bit of a pattern. So you can do all sorts of quilting with all the different shapes that are in the die set that I got. But I thought I'd just use these 6 shapes for now. I just arrange them the way I think they look nice and start sticking them down with my tacky glue. Decided if I stick the middle top one down first, it'll be easier for me to get the spacing of the ones either side. Then I move down to the bottom ones. Now there are ways of spacing them so it's all even and all that, but I really didn't care. Actually, in hindsight, it probably looks really cool having them a bit wonky. They do end up a little bit wonky, but even wonkier would have looked quite nice, so I'll experiment with that in the future. So once I've got all my squares stuck down, I grab some of my wildflowers in shades of blue and a white one there, and I stick them on top. And then I decide to grab out my die cut butterflies or my punched butterflies. I have so many of them and I never use them. And I thought this is a great card to use them on. So I just put 2 of those on as well. And then because I've organised my words and they're right next to me, I grab one of my words that's been printed out on a sticker sheet, although I don't trust the stickiness of it, so I do add a bit of glue, back it onto some of my scrap paper, and then I stick that to the front of my journal card as well. So 2 quick and easy journal cards there. So that was heaps of fun. So I used these awesome dies. So they're sort of like quilting squares that you can cut out of your paper. But as you saw, if you've got a big shot of something, you can also cut out your thinner fabrics in that as well, which is so handy because you could sew these onto fabric if you wanted and do quilting with them. That's why I find them just so handy to have the dies to be able to cut the paper and the fabric. And so I've got all these pieces left now because I wanted to cut a fair few, so I had different colours and each of the shapes in each of the colours. But it's left me with all this that I can craft with now. Now, what I ended up making with them was a sample card, so a fabric sample card. I love the way it cuts these shapes with your little pinked edge down there. And I thought that'd look really neat on a sample card. Now the paper I used for this was from Joey Card Maker, his groovy 1960s kit. It's just heaps of fun and retro, so I put some of my retro fabrics on there. And then I sewed them on. I think that looks quite authentic. I was going to staple them on, but I actually preferred the look, and I think it's a bit softer in a journal as well to have the sewing, and you can still write around that quite easily as a journal card. I was going to make an over-the-page paper clip, but I didn't want to fold any of this over and lose it because I liked the colours on the top and that, so. And I did a bit of stamping, and then used my connector stamps to do the word sample up the top. So I really loved the way that turned out. And then I thought I would grab the papers that I cut out with the same dies and arrange them, not too neatly. I'm sure there's a way where you can get real even spacing and that, but I wasn't too worried. And I just think that makes the sweetest background. You could do it in all sorts of different patterns and colours. Great die for using up fabric scraps and your scrapbook paper scraps or jelly print scraps. Yeah, but great for scrap busting. And I used some of the die cuts that I've previously cut out, which I always forget I've got. And you know what? It was so easy to find a word to put on this after I organised them and they're sitting right next to me. Usually I wouldn't even think of finding a word because it would be too hard to get up and rifle through the mess I had before. So that is awesome. And I love these. I think they're really cool. So much fun to make. Got heaps of little bits left over to make some more in the future. So a massive thank you to Pandahall for the awesome products that I've been able to play with this time. You can check out Pandahall's shop down below. You can also see the links to the products that I've used for this video and the one before where I did the jelly printing. There's also a code for you, and if you put that in at checkout, you can get 10% off your first order with Pandahall. So do take care, be good, and I will see you again soon. Bye.